And that's why you hired me to go out and blow its brains out, right?
Hi, I'm Sean.
And I'm Adam.
And this is SasqWatch.
Fascinating.
Well, today was originally meant to be a double feature. We were going to double dip into the well of Sasquatch lore. We were going to be covering both Snowbeasts, because there's two. There's Snowbeast 1977 and a remake in 2011.
Except it wasn't a remake.
Well,
it was just a totally different movie with different characters in a different location.
It's meant to be a remake, though. I found multiple sources say the purpose of the film was to be a remake or continuation of the Snowbeast story.
Really?
Yes, except this time they separated the words snow and beast. That's, there's Snowbeast and there's Snowbeast. And I decided I wanted to do that because I had seen the original Snowbeast before, and I knew that I did not just want to cover that film.
I'd hate to have our guests or anybody at Carnival hear that kind of story. From any of us, huh?
Well, let's go ahead and crack the old bat off with Snowbeast 1977. So to start this off, I just want to say, have you ever been bored?
If you haven't, a good suggestion to expand your understanding of the human condition would be to play Snowbeast 1977 for yourself and sit down and watch it and don't do anything else.
Sometimes it's distracting to take notes while we watch these films, but that was like the only thing I could do.
Yeah, I actually have a ton of notes for this, even though I don't have a lot to say.
Yeah.
I think my body was just like, let's do something.
Yeah, you hit play, which we did via Tubi. Thank you, Tubi. Well, you hit play, and the first thing you see is snow blowing. Then the credits come over the snow blowing. Then you see the arm of the beast almost right away.
We see the POV. We've got Bigfoot vision back again.
In full force. A lot of Bigfoot vision this time.
Yes, however, in this one, it appears that he can just see normally.
Yeah, that was a nice compromise to know we were going to get a lot of it, but at least he doesn't see yellow for no reason, or have horrible tunnel vision.
What else do we get a lot of in this movie?
Skiing.
We
get a lot of skiing. All different kinds of skiing.
We're not seeing different ski events or people doing big jumps or anything like that.
Contest of any kind, no.
It's mostly just downhill skiing and a little bit of cross-country skiing.
Well, I wanted to point out that there is some recreational skiing, so at times you'll see people skiing for fun, but for the most part, I would say 75% of the skiing you see is just I have to go over there. They're we're going over there, and add that, take the joy out of it. It's very just procedural skiing.
What little joy does come from the skiing is, for some reason, all of these very skilled skiers routinely fall down.
That was the only thing. It wasn't as good as the fall from Bigfoot Girl, because that's the funniest thing I've probably ever seen. But no, the first thing, Buster falls down early on, and we watched that a couple times because at that point it was the only thing that had happened so far.
Right. It was extra funny because we had already at that point designated Buster as like dumbest hat award in the movie.
Yeah, he was carrying the title at that point.
Yeah, so that made it that much better.
His hat did fall off when he fell down. And it's the kind of fall down where it wasn't scripted, like that. You can see his face, just like, I'm going. So that was nice. And then he gets killed off screen.
Yes.
Before that, though, I guess there's characters in the movie.
Yes, there are two female skiers that we see at the beginning. I believe Jennifer and Heidi.
She's the opening grab and go. And then after Jennifer is snatched by the Bigfoot vision, you meet, Tony?
Tony.
Tony, this is a fine time to be going skiing.
Tony works at the lodge, and his grandma owns the lodge, and she's kind of like the mayor from Jaws kind of thing, where they don't want to shut anything down.
Right. It's their big winter festival coming up.
The ski lodge relies on tourism, if you can believe that, and they don't. Which again, you're like, if you say that there's a creature there, more people are gonna go, but whatever. So Grandma doesn't want to shut down the lodge, and Tony wants to, and they talk about things, and then we meet
Gar.
Gar Seagard is played by Bo Svensson and his wife, Helen.
Yes, Helen.
Can we have your autograph, Mr. Seabird? You gave my father one at the '68 Winter Olympics, but then when you won that gold medal, he sold it.
He did? What did he get for it?
Don't tell him. Let him keep his illusions.
Gar and Helen show up because Gar needs a job. And very quickly, the movie spirals into the love triangle of Helen and Tony and Gar.
Yes, so that we find out that they've known each other in the past, and that Gar and Helen's relationship has kind of been on the rocks
because down at the bottom of the rocks.
She's lost all respect for him, I believe she says at one point.
Well, it's nice to feel wanted somewhere.
Because he is a previous gold medal Olympic skier who
hasn't skied in years.
Yeah, hasn't skied in years, and he hasn't been able to push himself to get a job or anything like that.
Because skiing is the only thing he knows.
It's the only thing he can do. He says that himself.
I just said you might be better off looking for work outside the ski business.
This is all I know how to do.
You know what I think, Gar? You don't really want a job. This is just an excuse to back out and still feel right about it.
So yeah, you get this there's a scene in the little cafeteria of the lodge where they kind of have this incredibly blunt conversation about how she just doesn't respect Gar at all.
Well, I could fall out of love with him. It'd be so much easier. Marriage can survive a lot of things. But it can't survive lack of respect. And I've lost about all the respect I've had for him.
Which has been the period on that is when he comes out in that outfit, that ridiculous
the tracksuit jumpsuit thing. This is the scene, so he should be walking in at any moment.
I hope I want to see him come in there. I think this is when she's saying she's basically we're gonna do something because I just can't with this guy anymore. This guy is a joke.
What did you think would happen?
I don't know. I've been having a lot of fantasies about you for the last year.
Fantasies about me? Good or bad?
Not bad.
And you kind of feel bad for Gar.
Especially when he walks up to Tony and the first thing he says is I need a job.
I need a job, Tony.
Yeah, he's I really need a job. And then after this, he comes up and he's like, hey, you're making out with my wife in front of everyone. And you're like, man, this... And then it just goes...
Did that happen?
Yeah, he comes out. When he comes out here in just a second, he's going to say, hey, I saw you kiss my wife in front of everyone. And
I didn't remember that they even kissed. So I was probably bored.
Yeah, probably.
I saw that, Kissing my wife in public.
And then, like, right out of that dovetails beautifully into them talking about the creature on the loose, and, you know, he basically is trying to get Gar to go out there and help him hunt the Bigfoot creature.
You believe in such a creature?
I really don't know. But you know, they say that there are hundreds of them roaming around all over the country.
Who says? Lots of people.
Which Gar's a little reluctant of, not because he thinks it doesn't exist, but he's
He
afraid
thinks
of
it
like
exists.
hurting it or something. He like doesn't know if killing it's the right thing to do.
You see, would you believe that Helen is actually a news reporter that has done a big special on Bigfoot?
Yeah, she went.
So Gar knows all
Yeah,
that.
she went around the U.S. collecting stories.
Apparently, he just pops up everywhere.
Right.
In this world. Not in the movie, he doesn't pop up, but in the world of the movie.
Not even Ellen?
Especially Ellen,
Why especially Ellen?
because she's a news person.
They do name drop Washington State specifically too.
Yes, they do. That happens towards the end, though, because then we meet after Buster gets, falls down his little hill. Well, we meet Clint Walker, the sheriff.
Sheriff Paraday, I believe.
He shows up, and I was immediately excited because I like Clint Walker, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Is he gonna like do something tough?" But no, there's no time for that because we're almost immediately back to like Gar and Helen and Tony. I don't remember what they were doing. They were skiing all over the place. There was some snowmobiling.
There was some snowmobiles.
Again, not riding snowmobiles for fun, just very transactional, like I need to get across the snow, which they do. Sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that way.
And you might think like, oh, like skiing is kind of cool, it looks cool. And I even had to know early on, like I like the real skiing footage, I like that. And I, that ended up being a curse. Be careful what you wish for. Because I would not be surprised if there's 10 minutes of skiing and snowmobiling together. Like, if you combine just those scenes, I would not be just surprised if at least 10 minutes of the movie was just that.
Yeah, no, I've never been skiing. I've never wanted to go skiing. And now I never want to watch anyone ski again. Then finally, Helen falls down skiing. And I had something again. I was like, okay, something has happened here. And then, like, almost out of nowhere, Bigfoot attacks the town gymnasium.
Yeah, it's
where
like
they're
at a school, I guess.
Yeah.
They're doing, like, the big celebration for the winter festival. And Bigfoot just punches out a window, and he's like, I'm going to come get everybody. And there were, like, a couple hundred people there, probably.
Like, somebody flipped the switch. I was like, I swear we were in that pool with Gar and Tony for half the movie. And then something happened, and then almost immediately, we are back to skiing.
Yeah,
back on the slopes.
That scene consisted of him breaking in, scaring everyone. Everyone went running and screaming. And then the queen of the Snow Queen went to go and get in the Snow Queen's carriage, which I guess her mom was going to be driving, and found her mom dead there. I think we saw him approaching the car.
Yeah, there's no on-screen
But
kills.
there are no
here.
on-screen
This
kills.
is a TV movie. This is why I was like, we need to do a show about these frickin' movies, because this is ridiculous. So yeah, the movie's playing Jaws. I swear we go back to that shack like 6 times.
Yeah, we keep going back, and maybe there's like a different shack at one point, but for the most part, it seems like Bigfoot likes to kill people and then go store them in shacks.
Yeah, it's like somebody's shack. I think it's like the Fairchild's family barn that Yeti likes to throw stuff in.
Maybe I'll recognize her when I see her face.
She doesn't have one.
But after the attack at the local gym, Helen is captured. All right, they find out Helen is missing. And so this is when Gar has to ski. In one of the big scenes of the movie, he skis downhill, and this is important because he has not actually skied in years since his Olympics, so he's got to overcome his mental block to ski. So you're going to see him, like, this is the most emotional skiing in the movie. So he is, he's starting to ski downhill, and he's like, obviously it's a big deal. All over, the snow is coming. But then he starts to really ski, and now he's skiing like he hasn't skied in years. And you're right there with him. You are skiing downhill until he gets to, can you guess, the Fairchild's shack, where Helen has been thrown into some straw.
Gar,
Yeah?
I'm proud of you.
She tells Gar how proud she is of him, even though she did not witness what we just did.
Yeah.
So for all she knows, he could have walked there, but he brought skis, so maybe she was like, "Oh my gosh, you skied here." She tells him,
Well, yeah,
she's
the thing.
proud.
We're not skiing anymore. We're talking about skiing because he just skied. So now we've got he light a fire in a building with no chimney, and they start talking about how he skied now and why he hasn't skied before. And do you remember what the reason is that Gar hasn't skied in so long?
I should have told you a long time ago when I never skied after 68. I think it's because I saw too many champions become has-beens. I didn't want to be a has-been.
I just from that same scene, I just have the quotes written down saying, I have a quote saying, "I love you," and then, "Did you say something?"
Sweet hero. No, he admits that he's been scared to ski because he was afraid of becoming a has-been.
Oh, I'm sure I wrote that somewhere. It's probably under his afraid of being has been. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, we get to the bottom of that grave, and then the next morning
We find out that his name was not Seabird, as we had previously expected, because a character very clearly says Seaberg.
Oh, I was talking about the Yeti attacking, finally.
Oh, well, this was the most shocking revelation in the film for me.
That's true, because we've been wrong about it the whole time.
And they said it like a handful of times.
Yeah, but the Yeti does finally attack. You get to see its arm come through a window. And then help arrives, and the Yeti runs away. And
You would hope that would be the end, but they come up with a plan to get the Yeti after that.
yeah, they do snowmobile to a different location, and they talk to the sheriff. And then I think the sheriff kills a bear around here. He just like drags a dead bear into town. And This is what's been doing it. And you're like, that's the smallest bear I've ever seen. And of course, there's this scene where somebody's like, we need to do an autopsy.
Yeah, they're like, we'll cut it open and then we'll have our proof.
It's like, thanks, guys.
Well, I don't know, but it seems to me that the best way to find out is to cut it open and see what's inside.
Look, Sheriff, if the people of this town are in danger, don't you think it's your responsibility to warn them?
Then, so as a group, it's like the 2, 3, 4 of us, because I think they're like just the 2 of us, and then someone's like the 3 of us, and then someone's like, then the other guy's like, I'm coming too.
Yeah, eventually you get like the love triangle and Clint Walker, basically,
Yes,
all this side. I think right before then is when Clint Walker's like, well, I called Washington, and they said that there wasn't a Bigfoot out here. You're like, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
I wouldn't know this, but I talked to Washington this morning. They said that they don't have one piece of evidence, nothing they've seen or heard that would stand up under scientific scrutiny, unquote.
So, like, the last act is those 4 characters going out.
On snowmobiles.
Well, first they do use a car, a camper.
And a car. Camper and a car.
That's a whole new vehicle
Yeah.
that we're getting in the 3rd act of this film. Now we're driving.
But then they go park it, and then they're riding around on their snowmobiles.
That's true.
Maybe it's the camper and the snowmobiles that they take initially, and then they stop the camper somewhere, and then they all get on the snowmobiles.
Now, don't you think that they didn't bring skis? Because
Yeah,
that does come into play.
Yeah, there are definitely skis on the camper and
Yes.
in the camper.
In
Because
a terrifying scene, in a fit of strength, while they're snowmobiling elsewhere, the Yeti, we see through POV,
yeah,
finds the camper and starts like wrecking it, and we're like, he's gonna tear that whole thing apart.
Yeah.
But then they all come back. He just threw some skis.
Yeah, really, he just took some skis that were on the back and threw them on the ground, but they end up getting different skis out of the inside anyway.
They had other skis on the same rack. He didn't even tear the whole ski rack off. Just a pair of skis. Threw them away.
Well, he knows where we're at. Maybe we ought to move camp.
No, we're going to stay right here.
So then they come back, and you're like, okay, what's the plan? And the plan is for them to spend the night in the camper so that now Helen can tell Tony that they're actually not going to go forward with what they talked about like 2 days ago at breakfast. She's like, I found my respect for Gar.
Friends?
Friends. Always.
Right.
And he's like, I guess that's fine, we can still be friends. And then they make out a little bit.
Are you making this up?
I swear that they kiss in that camper.
2 separate times?
2 separate times. They kiss before and after. The love of Gar and Helen is what's the difference of broken? Whatever, when it's
mended.
Yeah. When it is reforged on the fire of the Fairchild family bond.
With the spark of Gar's skis along the slopes.
The next morning, Bigfoot finds a pile of logs precariously
It's like a little up away from the camper, and he pushes them over.
Pushes those logs. The logs fall and only hurt Clint Walker.
Yes.
And they leave Clint for dead, and they run away. And then I believe this is like on foot that we see them running. And where do they run to for refuge?
Oh, they go to the Fairchild family cabin.
They do.
Or whatever.
And what happens when they get there?
Hold on. Okay. Back to, they decide to go back to the camper.
Yes.
To check for guns and skis.
Yes. So they walk back to the camper. They find Clint Walker. They're like, he's dead. And I was like, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is, isn't he? And then, because I guess all their guns were in there.
Bigfoot did take their rifles, I guess, maybe.
No, their rifles are just in the camper. They just can't get it.
They grabbed a pistol.
Yeah, they get a pistol.
I found a gun! I use it!
And then, in the dramatic finale of the film, Gar skis off against the Yeti in a big finale type way. And then how is the Yeti ultimately defeated?
Well, he ends up breaking his ski. Oh no, he uses his ski pole. He ends up back against a tree, and even though the Bigfoot had previously been smart enough to quote plan a counterattack.
Yes.
It was not smart enough to avoid running directly into a spear-like object that was pointed directly at it, and it impaled itself upon the ski. So probably, was stabbed about 3 inches.
That was the death blow, and that's what you call a character arc in writing. You have a character like Gar, who starts the film with a troubled past with skiing. He wants to ski, but he cannot ski. Then he relearns how to ski, and not only does it save his marriage, but that saved his life at the end of the film. I will point out, I do think he shot the Yeti a few times. Maybe I don't remember. I honestly don't remember if he shot him or not.
I feel like
fired the gun.
I do believe the gun was fired.
Yeah. So then it fades to black, and the nightmare ends, and the lights come on, and you're like, oh man. It was an incredibly difficult film to pay attention to. We want to talk about, usually we try to be like, oh, what happened technically? And
Very little.
Yeah, I cannot remember.
I remember a scene where when the Bigfoot attacks the school, the like Snow Queen's plastic crown falls on the ground and somebody steps on it. And then like miraculously in the scene later on, not even that much later, it's just like perfectly fine. So maybe they just got a bunch of plastic tiaras or something laying around.
Every now and then there was like a pretty shot of like the snow or the mountain. And sure, I'll give it that. If you find the aesthetic of 70s Colorado ski resorts pleasing, there are some still images from this film that might drive you bananas. You know, you might be like, oh man.
Look at that snow.
Yeah, there's a couple outfits that you're like, oh, look how colorful that outfit is. But that feeling fades. Fades.
And this, you know, the way that they shoot the people skiing looks good. If I were watching, you know, some sort of competitive skiing and I wanted to see them coming down the whole way,
I want to stress that there is no competitive
that.
skiing in the film. You don't see that here.
No, but if it were, and we were going to take turns going down a hill, this would be a good way to shoot, you know, one person going down a hill on skis.
I like skiing.
Oh, well, good for you.
I like when there's a fresh sheet of narpow on the slope and I can be the first to shred it with my skis.
I wrote that I liked the skiing. I just later on had 2 or 3 more notes that said too much skiing.
Too much skiing. It's not just skiing. There you will get snowmobiles.
I believe I also wrote too much snowmobiling.
Yeah, so that, I will say the cast is interesting. I think most of the people in the movie are in other things that are good, which is kind of like a trap you can fall into if you're like, oh, this movie has, you know, Bo Svensson he's in both Inglourious Bastards. He's in the original Inglourious Bastards and he pops up in the remake. He was in a bunch of TV stuff in the 70s. He played Buford Pusser a few times after Joe Don Baker, which is a thankless task. So I do feel bad for poor Bo. So you can find, he's in Heartbreak Ridge. The Helen is played by Yvette Mimo.
I didn't write down the actress name.
I'm sure her name is pronounced differently. She's in The Time Machine. She's in Jackson County Jail. She's in Skyjacked. Clint Walker, who was the sheriff, who was misused in this film. This film did not, because when I think of Clint Walker, I think of like a giant torso that's just like sentient and happens to have like a head and arms, but like it's all here. He's in Night of the Grizzly is a great Clint Walker movie. He's in The Dirty Dozen. He's in Killdozer. You know, you got the star of Killdozer in your movie, and he doesn't even fight the Yeti. He doesn't do you're just like, aw.
He drives a snowmobile.
He was also the voice of Nick Nitro in Small Soldiers.
Okay.
The guy who played Tony, I thought looked like a wig for most of the film. I looked into his movies and I was like, oh, there's nothing here And then I saw he was in The Adventures of the Wilderness Family, which I have not seen, but watching the trailer for that movie.
Friends with all the wild animals of the forest, the fun-loving ones, the unpredictable ones, birds so tame you can reach out and touch them. Even a black bear who fears no man and shows them open affection. You'll see how man and animal survive by working together in harmony with nature. You'll see how their fear of animals turned to respect, and how their respect turned to love. They accepted every challenge and used their courage to survive the perils of the wild. See how they outran a giant landslide and outdistanced an angry cougar. And see their faithful dog and their own courage carry them through when a pack of hungry wolves threatens to destroy them.
It's not a Bigfoot movie, is it?
It is not. It's a movie that yearns to have.
Thank goodness.
I like looked at this trailer and I was like, okay, I got a family in the 70s going into the woods. All of a sudden, there's a bear at a picnic, like a full-size bear having like picnic food with children. And I was like, whoa, whatever that is, that's the little corner that I'll open up that someday.
Then you'll see how the friendly bear repaid their kindness.
Sylvia Sidney, I think. Maybe I got the name wrong. But yeah, she's the old lady from Mars Attacks. And she's the lady in Beetlejuice that's behind the desk and yells at them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. She's in a lot of cool movies. So yeah, you can use this movie on IMDb to go to lots of better movies, but just don't.
She did have one of my favorite quotes in the movie. He thinks because he's my grandson, he can treat me as though I'm his grandmother. What?
Yes.
No big problems here, Grandma.
He thinks because he's my grandson, he can treat me as if I were his grandmother.
Yeah, so how difficult was this film to pay attention to? I wanted to test that. So I actually came up with a little pop quiz for you, Adam. A pop quiz to see how much of this movie your brain was able to withhold.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this quiz. Each question is going to be worth 20 points. Are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. What is the name of the celebration being held in the film?
Now I can use my notes, correct?
You can use your notes.
I believe I know the answer, though. Sean, is it Winter Festival?
It's the Winter Carnival.
Ah!
It's the Winter Carnival.
There was no rides.
I don't care. It was said multiple times.
I didn't see a single food booth.
I've got the word carnival all over my notes.
There was a marching band. Not even. There was a stationary band.
We're not ranking the quality of the carnival. Fact is that you got that wrong. Okay.
All right.
Question 2. What is the relation between the winner of the Carnival Queen and the Snowbeast's victim outside?
It was her mother.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. 20 points.
She was the driver of the Snow Queen's carriage, which was a van.
All right. What year did Gar Seberg win gold at the Olympics?
1963.
1968. Come on, it's 9 years. Their marriage has been fractured for 9 years.
All right.
Next question. What is the name of the Snow Carnival Queen?
Mary Jo.
Betty Jo.
Dang it!
Betty Jo.
I haven't been using my notes. I should have. I put Betty Jo in my notes. All right, I will.
Well, 5th question. What is the name of the lodge? It is on screen in the movie.
Dang it, this is one I don't have. I don't know. High top.
Rill's Lodge.
Dang it.
You still got one chance for the bonus question.
All right, I can salvage this and get 40 points.
How many salvos were fired at Buster's funeral?
I wish I had counted because I wanted to bring this up earlier that they like give him a gun salute.
Ready? Aim. Fire.
Buster's funeral in the film was only attended by other employees of the lodge.
And then these
not his
soldiers.
family or anyone. It's just our fellow skier has fallen. Let's gather and fire the guns.
I hate that I wrote down. I didn't quite count exactly, but somewhere I know I have written down that he receives a 6 or 7 gun salute. So I'm going to go ahead and say there's a 7 gun salute.
Okay, the answer is 1 because it is a salvo, not how many guns were fired.
What?
I said how many salvos were fired at Buster's funeral.
I don't know what that is. Is that the flare?
It's how many times they shot. They all fired.
Oh, is a salvo like a rotation of shots? Oh, I didn't know that.
You got 20 points out of 100, and that's an F.
All right. Well, I have a little quiz for you on the same movie. Because I misunderstood the assignment and made quizzes for both films.
Okay.
So,
I've seen this movie twice.
My quiz only has 4 questions, so these are going to be worth 25 points. There are no bonuses. What is the last name of Tony?
Rill.
Correct. How old was Tony's grandmother when she was crowned the Snow Queen?
16.
Correct. Where do Gar and Tony first discuss the Bigfoot?
First discuss the Bigfoot. I'm going to say the pool. I'm going to say the pool.
Correct. Who found the location of the first body?
The location of the first body. I'm going to say Buster.
John.
John.
There's a little boy named John.
God.
He was there with his father. So you got a 75% there for C, but you had no chance for any bonus questions because I did not write that many because partway through I realized I was supposed to be writing questions for the other film, and so that's where the majority of my questions are.
Okay,
But really, you performed very well, but you didn't have to use your notes there either.
Yeah,
so
I'm proud because, like I said, this movie will just fade away from your brain like the powdery dust snow that we see billowing through the air, the opening shot of the film. I don't know that I have anything else to say about Snowbeast.
I think we just keep on trucking.
Should we rate it?
Oh yeah, we might as well do that now, so we don't forget about that.
It's that dangerously forgettable.
We've forgotten before. All right, so what do you rate Snowbeast 1977?
I struggled with how to rate this film because this is where you get into the question of what is worse, an awful film or a boring film. Now, I don't think it's as bad as Bigfoot or Bust. I can't give it 0 big feet. But I never want to watch this movie again.
Yeah.
I did it for you guys. I did it so that you would know that no, it's not worth sitting through. You will not be getting the Snowbeast. Nothing will happen. I'm going to give it half of the Bigfoot. Half the Bigfoot because it does exist on Tubi, and I did get to see 2 people fall down, and I liked both of those things.
This is going to be one of those very rare occasions where I'm going to give the film a higher rating than Sean.
Really? Okay.
For the simple aspect that while there was way too much of it, I did enjoy the skiing footage to some degree. I would give it 1 Bigfoot.
Wow.
Look, I was very embarrassed about skiing.
All right. So before we move on to Snowbeast from 2011, when this film ended, we both just were robbed of energy and joy and the ability to process information. So we did decide to check in with a similar beast, the Snow Ghost, with Scooby-Doo. So cleanly.
This
so precise.
hilarious, giant, weird-looking man that runs this ski lodge. They want to go to the ski lodge, but they find that it's been abandoned.
Here we are, Wolf's End Lodge.
Like it even sounds like a wolf.
That is a wolf, silly.
They, eventually uncover a plot where someone has pretended to be a snow ghost to get everyone away from the lodge so they could use the lodge.
You're assuming that somebody's pretending to be the Snow Ghost. I think that they go to the lodge and they find it's being haunted by a terrifying local entity.
Correct. They don't assume that, of course, that the Snow Ghost would be a person.
No.
Of course, this is the first series of Scooby-Doo content. So,
it is actually the last episode of the original show.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's Snow Ghost.
Well, they had not learned a lot from their previous adventures by this point.
Welcome to Wolf's End Lodge. We have all the comforts of home.
I mean, we've seen it before. It was wonderful. If you haven't seen it in a while, the part when they first see the Snow Ghost and he starts flying is just one of those moments of sheer joy.
The Snow Ghost!
And he can fly!
I loved it. I love Scooby-Doo. I know that there's a whole lot of more to add in.
I like the villain plot in that one because it's not the simple I want to scare everyone away because I want to like buy up this land or I want to like I mean it's not much more complex, but it's like they want the ski lodge and the nearby like mill to be deserted so they can use hollowed out logs.
Are we gonna spoil this episode of Scooby-Doo?
I mean, it came out in the 1960s, so maybe the early 70s. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to say that's on you.
For you to figure out who did it, I suppose.
There are only
I did
like
correctly guess who the Yeti was watching it again.
There are only like 3 other characters in the episode because it's an abandoned place.
I laughed when I saw the guy who owns the hotel, how just bulbously fat he was.
This is the young ladies' room. The other rooms are across the hall. And, oh yes, a word of warning. Be sure to lock your doors and windows before you go to sleep.
I laughed even harder when he reminded me of a character in, like, our next film.
I know, didn't he? Oh, I can't wait to talk about that guy.
Bad debts. He's probably in Paris right now, starting over. You're caught up in your own imagination, kid.
Doesn't he have also got a fat voice? Like
it sounds like
you need to figure out what's happening in my hotel.
Because if you don't, the snow ghost will get you.
But their plan was to hollow out logs and use them to transport jewels across the border. They never really say which border. I'm gonna assume the Canadian border.
It was the Canadian border, actually.
I'm in here. Hey, a secret hollow log. That's not all that's in here. Look.
Diamonds and jewelry.
At one point, they do have a ski-off with the Yeti.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I'm shocked. I'm entertained. I'm like, oh man, you know what was entertaining about it? It was like, who's gonna go farther? Is 2 people skiing against each other, as opposed to just, hey, let's go left.
Plus, they're gonna put some little gags and stuff in here as Scooby
That's Scooby
want to do.
Yeah, so that was great, and I have nothing. I mean, if we're gonna rate it, it's 5 big feet. That Snow Ghost is absolutely
5 big
golden
feet.
Entertainment.
Transparent plastic skis. They're almost impossible to see at night. Show 'em, Scooby.
I think that's the first thing I've ever given 5 big feet. It may be the last.
After that, just little jewel, we went back to Tubi to check out the 2011 Snowbeast.
Not to be confused with 1977's Snowbeast.
Could be a bear. It ripped up one of our snowmobiles and tossed some garbage around.
Snowbeast starts. First thing I notice is the soundtrack. Because I did not think about the soundtrack at all in the old version. So who's in this one? Because we're replacing Bo Svensson, Clint Walker. Who did they get?
They got Bigfoot back with Bigfoot vision. This
No,
time
I mean the
tinted
actors.
yellow. I don't know any of the actors. I don't ever write the actors down.
Well, this film stars...
Except for Lance.
Yeah, I wish that Lance... he's put in enough work. They gave Lance Henriksen a break, and they got John Schneider, who you might know, unlike Adam, as one of the original stars of the Dukes of Hazzard TV show.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that.
So, yeah, now, you've probably seen John Schneider before in some of the films that I like to watch, because he's one of those actors that no matter what you're into, he's probably popped up in there somewhere. Whether it's Dukes of Hazzard, whether it's Ogre from 2008, maybe you're a religious person, you can find John Schneider in What Would Jesus Do? The movie, as well as the sequel, What Would Jesus Do? The Journey Continues.
It was right there. They could have just called it What Would Jesus Do Now?
I've been wondering. I don't know of any teaching of Jesus that says one kind of a man is any less worthy of saving.
He's also in a movie called Roe v. Wade from 2019 that looks like a real piece of shit.
Silent minority. Who is speaking for these children?
Ranger Barry. His face is on the cover of the film. That is a lie. He is in the film.
He has a couple scenes even dedicated to just him.
If you are excited about the Jason London star vehicle Snowbeast, you have been misled. John Schneider fans, though, buckle up. You get ready, because every scene that John Schneider's in this film tells me that he showed up.
So he was.
And was told, "This is what we're doing now."
He was Jim, right?
I have him as Dad.
I would need one if you'd let me stay here.
Ah, so that's your fault, not mine. I'm not the one that got expelled the day before her father went on a trip.
I have his
name is
character as Dad.
His name is Jim.
I have Dad, Emmy, Marcy, Rob. I've got Ranger Barry and Ranger Snacks. That's what I have as my character sheet.
Okay. Yeah, his name was Jim. His ex-wife's name was Kim.
Yes.
She ran away.
Yeah.
You ever hear from Kim?
Left them. Bradley should have just like a cat. She left the family.
I guess what happens first? We open the film with some jams. What do we get?
We get
snowboarding.
We get yes, we do. We get two snowboarders.
We are boarding down the mountain. There was no snowboarding in the original Snowbeast.
No.
I can promise you
so
that.
Now we got some snowboarding, and it is mercifully short compared to what we've seen in the past.
Well, what's the first thing that happens when you see this young man snowboarding?
They're snowboarding. Somehow him and his snowboarding buddy get split off, and then at one point he does a big jump and then falls. And then he's like, "That was awesome!" And then he's calling for his friend, but we never see him again.
It was awesome to start with a fall down. Because I like when people fall down.
It made it less impactful that he seemed happy about it.
Sure. On the scale of because people falling down is always funny. And it's the very, very height of that. The best you can get is the guy falling down in Bigfoot Girl. Then he gets killed by the Yeti.
Yes, he does immediately get killed by the Yeti. Who loves to kill people by just kind of walking up and just kind of swatting them once. So that kills most people. Yeah.
And then we're in the suburbs all of a sudden. And it's just father-daughter drama.
Yes, so she's in trouble. She's been suspended from school, or expelled?
It's suspended.
Suspended from school because she shoved some girl. She says she deserved it. We're not going to get into that because they don't.
Yeah, Dad's not happy, and as punishment, he's going to force her to accompany him on an international scientific
research trip
about the lynx.
Yeah, in Canada.
And she, there's some back and forth there.
It wasn't even a fight. All I did was shove her, and she deserved it.
Oh, and if she didn't deserve it, then you punched her anyway.
Shoved her.
And then we're back in Canada. We're only in the suburbs for just a second.
Yeah, we get to Canada quick. He's like, well, if you were really that against it, you wouldn't have had your bags packed already, so let's go. So then we're all of a sudden we meet up with our other two, so we got our
First,
four
we're
people.
in the car. I want to establish that we spend time moving in this movie. Not plot-wise, but in vehicles, moving. Sometimes we're walking, but there's a lot of that.
Yeah, this one just has a little more snowboarding, but there's still some skiing, and there's still snowmobiles.
Yeah, I think this one's more snowmobiles than skiing. I'll say that. Which did end up being entertaining at the end. I will say that.
There was a little bit of payoff, yeah.
Yeah, we'll let you wonder about what that could be for a minute. Then, we check in with the Rangers. And this is when Jason London... I put Jeremy London in my notes, which is wrong. I put the wrong one. There's two Londons in real life. Jason London is this ranger, and he's talking to his co-ranger. What's his real name? Ranger
Gibbons.
Gibbons. My favorite character in the film, Ranger Gibbons. Why is Ranger Gibbons my favorite character?
It's because... I assume because he's just doesn't look like the person you would expect to be a park ranger.
It happens. That's your philosophy?
When you've been around as long as I have, you'll get what I mean.
He looks exactly like the guy from Scooby-Doo. Exactly like the guy who owns the hotel in Scooby-Doo. You saw him and I was like, well, he's definitely the Yeti.
Right, yeah, he's got to be the Yeti. He also was pretty flippant about whether it existed or not. He didn't really care.
Maybe I'm a mean person, but when I saw Jason London on screen next to Officer or Ranger Gibbons, I started laughing. I thought it was really, really funny that they paired him up with this ridiculous Ranger who's like can't get his zipper up his.
Yeah, he's always got his Ranger outfit just open.
Oh yeah. I looked that guy up. In real life, that man has 9 children.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, is he Amish?
Maybe
What?
he's Catholic or something.
Stop calling me kid.
Lock up when you're done, Barry.
Oh yeah, this is the lovable team of there's Dad and there's his daughter Emmy, and then there's Rob and Marcy.
Yeah.
And Marcy's there to kind of be Dad's new love interest.
Right, which the daughter just asks him about openly. They have a discussion about it. They kind of lead like it's going to go that way, and then they never pay it off, which is fine. I just kind of wish they never would have bothered in the first place.
It had nothing coming on the heels of the Gar, Helen, Tony triangle, the Dad-Marcy relationship. I mean, it was there. There was we talked about it enough. Probably equal amount of screen time. It's just how much did I care about it.
Nothing substantial.
And then my first big chunk of notes is that Dad yells at his daughter to make food for them all.
Yeah.
And then you see her go back. She starts flirting with Rob.
Rob's she's supposed to go help make dinner with Rob.
The word dinner was used.
The word dinner was used.
And then back there, you can't help but pay attention to Rob making some PB&Js.
It's not like it's supposed to be something you're not looking at either, because she's back there flirting with him, and that's supposed to be she's being defiant, and he's just slapping on the jelly.
Yeah, one sandwich. She's making one. She's not helping.
Yeah,
she's making one sandwich, not once, not twice, 3 goes to the jelly jar. 3 goes to the jelly jar. What are you doing?
I've put too much jelly on it. I've dipped in twice, got a little bit too much. Maybe. Personally, I think you get 1 scoop of jelly on 1 hat. I like to put the peanut butter on both sides, but
what are you scooping?
With a knife. With a knife.
Slather. It's maybe you go back once, but it took you 3 times to get that jelly on there. It looked terrible.
No, it wasn't even like he was just now getting enough. It just looked like there was too much. Not that long after that, we let's see if there's anything in between here, but they go out the next day to set up their cameras. That's what happens.
Dad doesn't understand kids' music. There's a scene of Dad talking about his daughter outside.
I can't remember what his line is, but he says something that makes it seem like he doesn't understand headphones, which was funny to me.
I guess she is. I went up to her door. It's closed, and I hear that angry music coming through those ear things she wears 24/7.
But I do have a mic on this camera, so we do have the audio. It's just not as good.
Just slapping that jelly on there.
Have you ever had... It's one thing for Rob to be terrible at making these sandwiches. It's another for him to serve them to his friends, co-workers, peers. But then... you're like, you guys, Dad, who just told his daughter to go help, is in the same... They're not a different room away. They're 10 feet away. You're like, that's my dinner over there. And they just keep on talking about, being in love. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
I mean, Rob's just kind of standing there awkwardly. And then the dad's like, hey, quit that. You guys aren't into each other.
My daughter, Rob... She is in high school, and you're like, for a minute, you're like, is that going to be the plot? Is that going to be the plot?
But not really. They don't pick that up again. It's good.
Still uncomfortable to watch Dad flirt with Marcy, not as much from an age point of view.
More from a chemistry point of view.
Yeah.
I miss the quiet Emmy.
Yeah. You miss the happy Emmy before Kim left.
So yeah, after the PB&J dinner, I think we cut back to the Rangers, and that's when Jason London is like, he's the Ranger that thinks that maybe, but probably there's Bigfoot out there.
He's getting his cork board together. He's putting down the pins in the different spots.
They didn't look here, and that's probably
where it is.
Yeah,
right.
And the other Rangers just like, you idiot. He's probably in Paris.
Oh yeah, the kid. They're like this kid died, and he's like...
He's missing.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like, the ranger's like, you're dumb, that's a stupid theory, and I was, like, waiting for him to be like, you know, people go missing all the time, he's probably buried under the snow somewhere. No, he says...
Bad debts. He's probably in Paris right now, starting over.
That's why Ranger Gibbons is my favorite character. But then some random guy like pulls his car over to the side of the road and like gets out of the car and puts the map down on the hood. If you can't look at a map in the car. He would lay it down and he's like, I am lost. He's either lost or he's not lost, but he's correct about it.
Oh, the random man?
Yeah, random man.
And then he's like, all right, cool. I'm going to go use the bathroom over here in the woods. I'm going to walk a good 15, 20 feet into the woods for this.
There's that weird shot of like he's peeing and then he looks up and makes direct eye contact with the Yeti while he's peeing, which I was like, that's I swear the Yeti looks different in that shot too than he does later on. It's like his face looks different. But yeah, just eye contact. And then he dies. How does he kill that guy? I think he slaps him.
He slaps him. The dude turns around, runs back toward his car, and then Yeti gets up to him and gives him the old Yeti smack. And then we spend some time back with our main cast of people at the cabin, and they go to set up their cameras. And
talk about links.
They talk about how they can't find any links, but they saw links here before, so they hope that they find them again. This is
the chunk of the movie where they were talking about links so much that you got on your phone and started learning about them.
Yeah, I started looking up pictures of various kinds of links. At one point, they did say that they were endangered, and the lynx that lives in Canada is least concern. So maybe in the past 10 years, we've had some improvement there, or maybe they just didn't bother to look up to see if they were endangered. I'm not really sure.
It's the kind of lynx dialogue that like tells you that like the people writing this don't care about lynx.
Yeah, but we found a couple dens and litters last year.
They're talking about lynx, and then they like get in a snowmobile or a car and they'll go somewhere and they'll talk about lynx more. At some point, those random people skied into the scene and then got killed by Bigfoot.
Yeah, one of them got killed.
No, I have two.
Oh, they both did get killed. You're correct. There is a different scene where two snowboarders show up, and one of them gets killed.
Yeah, the skiers both, though. I know there's something that happened there where, like, she snuck into Rob's truck to go flirt with some skiers.
Was that during this point? Yeah, Rob was supposed to go into town to get some supplies or something, and she sneaks in the truck, and she's, like, flirting with a guy, and then Rob's like, hey, no, your dad'll get mad. I gotta take you back to the cabin.
And then it cuts to, like... The next night they have a real dinner, and the first thing you see is Rob.
It's them cleaning up.
I know that everybody's a little bit different, and we all kind of like go through life, you know, by way of our own viewpoints and stuff. But I just thought that was a crazy amount of food for him to be putting directly into like the sink.
Half a plate, a plate. Like none of them. It's all the plates are like that too. It's like they all ate just like a little bit.
There's like a lot of peas. It's just a ton of peas.
And then they're just
scraping it straight into the sink.
Yep.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
And right into the garbage disposal. And then I was like, well, maybe they didn't bring like trash, like somewhere to put.
Did we see him take the trash out?
But then like a minute later, he's like, I'm gonna take the trash out, and I'm like, that garbage disposal is gonna be working overtime.
Yeah,
I don't think you're supposed to be putting that much stuff down there at once.
I think that I have no reference point because nobody's ever told me this is exactly how much food you should or should not put into your garbage disposal. That looked crazy to me.
That looked crazy. Also, like, if that were me, that's like another, at least one more full meal.
Yeah, put it in the fridge.
Just put it, you didn't bring any containers? Like, you guys are, no wonder you had to resort to, like, PB&J.
Yeah.
Thanks for dinner, Marcy.
Stop being polite.
So that ate up a lot of my attention for a while.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what are they doing? They're checking the cameras. Bigfoot's popping up on cameras all over the place.
Oh, we get the, then they go and find the lynx, like, little hovel, and, not hovel, the little lynx lair or whatever, the little hole in the ground. They're like, this is where lynx were. And then Jim and Emmy, his daughter, have, like, a little, like,
conversation where he busts out this metaphor about her mother Kim leaving them.
I don't know, maybe the mother lynx just had to move on.
Would she have taken her litter with her?
It was so funny to me because she's like, well, why would the mother lynx like leave her cubs? And he was like, a mother lynx, once she wouldn't leave them unless she knew they were strong enough or like fit enough to take care of themselves. And I'm just like, are you trying to tell her that like that's how humans work? Because I don't think Kim left for Emmy's benefit.
Maybe we rely on evidence.
Well, it's kind of difficult. We don't have any evidence.
That night, everyone in the house clearly hears the sound of the Yeti smashing the snowmobile outside. And I swear to God, they all get up and they go into the living room. And you can hear outside, they're smashing, the sound of something being smashed.
It's when he goes to take the trash out.
And it was after that, everyone's asleep. And Jim's standing there in the dark. And he's just like, let's go back to bed. And you're just like, guys, if you peer through those blinds, you're going to see the Yeti smashing your snowmobile. And then I love the next morning they wake up and the sun's shining and they go outside. The snowmobile's been smashed.
Yes, I thought that was really funny.
Oh my God, it's
and
been
after
smashed.
having to watch so much snowmobiling in the previous movie, it felt kind of good to see that symbol of travel get destroyed.
Yeah, torn asunder.
But they had two, so he left one.
They did. And then we get back to our Rangers. And this is when I'm like, I'm ready for the Rangers to really take the reins of this film. And they're basically driving, and they stop the car. And Ranger Barry gets out.
Because he's like, I want to go check on something over here. It's like the spot that they're like near the spot that he wanted to look for Bigfoot or something. And so Gibbons is just like, all right, just be a minute. Like,
yeah, so I'm not getting out of the car.
Yeah, he just stays in the car.
I'm thinking about the guy from Scooby-Doo. I'm laughing. I'm having fun for a minute.
He busts out a snack.
He does bust out some snacks in the car.
Let's go already.
Jason London gets killed off screen.
Yep, we see Bigfoot kind of run around him in circles and then come in and do his slap attack, and he takes Barry out.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, at that point I was like, I'm ready for my favorite character, Ranger Gibbons, to all of us. You didn't think he was going to be the main character of this movie.
I'm pretty sure we did some other stuff before we went back to Gibbons, too. That might have been when we were doing the, like, oh, our camera's down, let's go fix our camera, and all that. No, it wouldn't have been then. It would have been shortly after, I guess.
As soon as we cut back to him getting out of the truck, I'm just like,
he goes
that's ridiculous.
And he finds Barry's body, and then he himself gets slapped and killed by the Bigfoot.
Oh, he does fall down twice.
That's true.
He falls down.
He does
not
fall
once,
down twice
but
on
twice.
that journey.
That was for me. That happened. I got to laugh.
Then we get the scene of them going to fix it. One of their cameras has gone down, so they're going to fix it. And I don't even remember what Marcy's doing at this point, but
it's Rob and Dad. And
Rob and Jim go to like set up the camera, and yeah, Rob falls in a hole into this like perfectly sculpted like box shaped lair that they're just like, what lives here? And there's bones down there, and they're like, somebody must have fallen down here and died.
Picture quality.
The movie's saying that, like, beneath this, like, ground, there's this perfect block of ice that's formed an ice cave.
Which also has a hallway.
Yeah.
I can't even call it, like, a tunnel. It's a hallway that, like, goes out to a different location so you can get in a different way.
Of course, there's some bones down there that Rob finds, and you're like, hey, who could have guessed that Bigfoot's eating people?
But then, while back at the cabin monitoring the camera, Emmy sees the Yeti appear on the first camera.
The Snowbeast.
The Snowbeast, yes.
At one point they talk about it, and somebody's like, we don't know it's Bigfoot, let's just call it the Snowbeast. And you're like, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that information for us.
Yeah, she sees it on camera 1, she sees it on camera 2, it's kind of building up suspense because they're at camera 4 trying to fix it, and then it does get to them as he's helping the other dude out of the hole, as Jim's helping Rob out, and then
they don't pull him out of the hole, there's just like clearly an entrance.
Yeah, they just go the other way. And then, you know, they escape.
Via snowmobile.
They get away, they get back to the cabin, they meet up with Marcy and Emmy again. They talk about what this beast could be. That's when they kind of start throwing things around like the Yeti, and then
Marcy says Snowbeast.
Yeah.
It's the Snowbeast.
And Rob says like, "Oh,
we're not watching the movie Yeti. We're watching Snow."
I don't care. They talk about it being a Yeti.
There could be a Yeti. I'm sorry, what?
Because Rob starts talking about like, oh, they're supposed to be from the Himalayas, but it's supposed to be a mythical beast, and then he says like, it's a lot like a bear, but its body is different.
Well, it's just like, imagine that you have fallen through the ice, found corpses, human corpses. You've run from the Yeti, barely escaped with your life, and we're gonna go to the cabin, have We're gonna have some father-daughter kitchen talk. Talk seriously about the relationships being formed here.
If I wasn't here, would you go looking for it?
And they're going to decide, tomorrow morning, we're going to leave.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean tomorrow morning you're going to leave?
Yeah, why not now?
Yeah, there's
clearly no links here. It's not like you're even, like, here to discover anything else. And then, of course, Marcy, not of course, it kind of came out of nowhere. Marcy's, like, the greedy money grubber in this movie, and she's, like, comes out, it's just like, well, we have to stay. We've got too much money in this project, and imagine how much we could make.
All that video is going to do is drag everyone down here to make sure it's not a hoax and steal our discovery right from under our noses. We need more.
Early in the morning or late, like...
creeps out of the house, steals the truck.
Steals the one vehicle they have besides the one not broken snowmobile. And then she drives for a while, and then Bigfoot shows up and
kills her via chokeslam.
Yeah, chokeslam onto the hood of the truck.
Which was nice.
And then I guess he cleans up the blood afterward, because when they come back, there's just, like, looks like maybe there was something there, but, like, somebody scrubbed it away.
I was happy that Marcy died, because I was like, we're not going to talk about this anymore. We're not going to talk about our future together or like our future careers as Lynx scientists, and like, because I swear we had spent she talked about it. Dad and daughter talked about it. Dad and Marcy talked about it. Marcy and Rob talked about it.
Bad to worse.
So then they find the truck. Of course, it's broken now. Truck's out.
Yeah.
Dad and Rob kind of like go here, and then they go back there, and they're like, we don't know she's dead. And Emmy's just like, actually, I did see that she's dead. And Dad's just like,
yeah, they're like,
guess.
yeah, we saw it on the screen. They're like, oh, I guess, yeah, she must be dead. So then they come up with a plan where they're like, Jim's gonna take the snowmobile and go for help.
The lack of emotion when Jim finds out that she's dead, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that tells me everything I needed to know about how much those earlier scenes didn't matter.
I saw her on the cameras.
So yeah, then they decide Jim's going to get on the snowmobile, he's going to go for help, they're going to stay there, Bigfoot comes there, he attacks them, they're stuck inside, they barricade themselves in a room, she talks about what she's going to do when she gets out of it, which I'm like...
Wait, no, before the Yeti attacks the house...
Oh, he goes after
Dad leaves.
Jim first, yeah.
They decide that the only thing that makes sense to do is for Jim to take the snowmobile. He's going to go get help.
Oh, yeah.
And Rob and his daughter are going to stay in there. And you're like, first of all, you could have taken your daughter with you and left Rob. That's what I would have done. Second of all, he's like, what should I do here?
He's like, asking Rob, he's like, how much faster is it if I go straight through the woods? And he was like, probably like 2 miles. And he was like, that's what I'll do.
Faster.
Yeah, and we're just like the woods where the beast lives and where you are going to have a tougher time maneuvering your snowmobile.
As soon
You
as he
really
said
think
it,
it's going to be 2 miles faster.
As soon as he said it, I was just like, oh, please. And of course, the next shot is John Schneider trying to drive.
Yeah, he has to like slow to a full stop to start trying to get around some trees and stuff. And then, of course, Bigfoot shows up and starts chasing him. And he drives too fast and he runs into a tree. And then
No, not just runs into a tree. He has to
he
dive.
gets hit by a branch or something, right? And then he falls off. And the snowmobile.
You see a shot of the snowmobile kind of like petering out.
Dad?
It slowly comes to a stop, and then we cut back to the cabin as we hear, and they look out, and from miles away you see this huge column of smoke, as though this thing was powered by a mini nuke. Looks like a mushroom cloud.
Yeah, it seriously looks like a gas station just blew up. But he's fine. There's no, like, fire damage in the woods because we see the Yeti attack John Schneider and smacked him across the face, and that's when you posited that Dad was dead.
I was like, he's got to be dead. Everyone that he smacked across the face dies instantly.
But I knew. I was like, we're talking about John Schneider. I didn't believe it. But then the Yeti breaks in, and Marcy, Marcy.
Emmy and Rob barricade themselves in a room. The beast can't get in. I did question their tactic of like putting the dresser with the drawers facing them. So then they're sitting against the dresser and the drawers are coming out.
Yeah, not
But they had to think fast.
It worked.
So Bigfoot eventually gives up. Snowbeast, sorry, he gives up. He goes around. He wrecks the cabin because why not?
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and they're scared all night. She starts talking about like what she's gonna do when she gets out of there if her dad's dead and her mom is like gone. She's like talking about what she'll do as a single like child now, and I'm just like, whoa, you're the one that was like, I don't know, minutes later she's gonna be like, we've got to go see if my dad's alive. I can't live without him.
So the plan that they form to go save Dad is that Rob takes all the food that's left in the house, including a bunch of lasagna. There was just a ton of lasagna. He slops it onto the upside-down lid of the trash can and ties a string to it like he's Winnie the Pooh and just like drags it into the woods. And you're like, this is the plan to like slop a bunch of lasagna? Like, are you luring Garfield in here? Like, what are you doing?
All this food wafting together smells really disgusting.
Yeah, well, I hope that thing likes it.
Snowbeast takes the bait, and they use some tranquilizer darts that they had gotten from earlier. They had brought it with them. They had talked about using it in the past, I believe, but hadn't. And then he shoots Snowbeast with it like 3 times. It goes down, and they're like, all right, let's go to its lair. If it's got him, that's where he is. And they run in the lair, and there he is, frostbitten and freezing, but still clinging to life.
It's John Schneider.
They do pass Marcy's dead body on the way. I guess the Bigfoot didn't care. They talked about like,
I mean, when there's, I'm not going to call it hot lasagna, but there was lasagna out there, and he was like, I'm going to save John Schneider for later, because I know,
But why didn't he want to save Barry or Gibbons for later?
I mean, that's like, like there's a bag of lettuce in the fridge right now, but I know that we're getting Popeyes after we finish shooting today, so like, no, I'm not going to eat the lettuce, because I know that there's some Popeyes out there.
Isn't Gibbons Popeyes, though?
He already ate Gibbons. That was like Popeyes from 2 days ago. That was 2 bodies.
You think he just ate them on the spot?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, they rescue Dad. Bigfoot, of course, wakes up, and Snowbeast wakes up and meets them in its lair. And then Rob, pulls out a knife, and he's like, you guys go. I'm gonna, do a little knife fight with him.
I'll stay behind and sacrifice myself.
Yeah, he swipes once, and then Bigfoot swipes him once, and then he's dead.
Yeah, bye, Rob. Rob made it so much farther than I ever thought he would. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was going to be the first one to go.
I did too.
But then Jim and Emmy get on a snowmobile and they ride and they
don't. No? The snowmobiles are both destroyed. I have Emmy and Dad run because
they just ran
right after that.
That's correct. They hide behind a tree.
Well, Dad fell down, and then I have Emmy fell down. So they both fell down on the way to the end of the movie, which was nice. And then there's the classic scene where somebody shoots a flare at the Yeti.
Yes, she shoots twice and misses both times, but it starts an avalanche. Yeah, that's going to do it. So then they're running, they duck behind a tree, avalanche comes, wipes out the Yeti, and they go home. They try and tell people about it, but nobody believes them. So I'm like, I don't know what they think happened to those bodies.
Yeah, at the very end of the film, they're back in the suburbs, and they're having a really lackluster sandwich. And they're just like, yeah, nobody believes us. And I'm like, but multiple people, there's multiple dead people there.
Yeah, I'm like,
do they believe that they're dead?
Do they, like, if they don't believe you about the Bigfoot, do they think you killed them?
Yeah, so I guess we're walking away from that, and then the note that the film ends on, first, the daughter's just like, I actually punched another kid at school, but I didn't get caught this time. And Dad's just like, kids, kids
these days.
School. And then you find out that the Yeti is in fact not dead, and like pulls some random youngster, some young man.
Some snowboarder. Grabs his face. And that's the end of the movie.
Oh, we totally forgot to put it on. I don't know what this is.
Oh.
I don't know what this is.
It just started playing.
There should have been snow happening.
Sorry.
That's my bad. But we're not gonna fix it. So just try and I hope that you've been able to picture what the film looks like from us.
Is Bigfoot even in whatever this is? This is a Bigfoot movie. Or is it a bear? It might be a bear.
It might be grizzly. Is this grizzly?
I
want to know if it's grizzly. I'm going to be so proud of myself. It's grizzly. It's grizzly. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That was Snowbeast.
Yeah.
It was boring.
We touched on the score. It was boring. And because it was so boring, I have very little to say about it. Technically,
there's not much. It's the kind of movie that's like there's just not much to say about it. It happened. It was on the TV, and now it's off.
That score was funny. But yeah, what are you gonna rate this one?
My dad would try to say something to make this seem alright.
I guess I have to rate it higher than the original. I do think it's an improvement upon the 77 version of this. Because at least the Yeti killed some people. At least it's on screen and I can watch it.
Yeah,
so for that reason, I'm going to give it one whole Bigfoot.
I am also giving it one Bigfoot, the same score as the previous movie for me. It was boring in its own different way.
Yeah, it's the kind of movie that makes me wonder, like, was I too hard on Bigfoot or Sasquatch Hunters? Was I too mean to that movie? I'm sure I wasn't.
I remember liking the score to that movie, and we liked some of the characters. I feel like we praised that movie not much, but we gave it due when it earned it.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess looking at both of the Snowbeasts, I'm just like, is that the best you've got? So if you found yourself enthralled by the plotting and direction of Snowbeast, the writer and director of that film went on to make a slew of Hallmark films. All of which look enrapturing. In particular, I found myself pulled towards Hot Chocolate Holiday. I was like, if somebody...
I bet my mom has seen that.
If somebody broke into my house with like a weapon, like a gun, and was like, you have to watch one of the films made by these people after Snowbeast, I would point towards Hot Chocolate Holiday.
Why is that one the one that you were like, maybe?
Because they're hot chocolate. Because the plot of the film, I didn't watch it, but I clicked on it, and the plot of Hot Chocolate Holiday is that she runs like the hot chocolate spot in a small town.
Oh,
It has like
okay.
a secret ingredient, and he opens a dessert shop in town. And he starts pulling customers over.
Of course.
And she's like, I'm going to take him down. And that's, that
starts out as a rivalry, but
That's
they probably find out they're better together, right?
I didn't watch it. Like I said, that's what it told me when I clicked on that movie. And I was like, okay.
That a little competition is not the end of the world.
You are so...
There's more to both our shops than just hot chocolate. Wanted you to see that, so...
So what do you think of Marcus?
Before you go making accusations, talk to the man first.
So truce?
Truce.
So,
Oh.
you can watch that if you want. I also found out that the actor who plays Rob went on to do, he also does sound work. I believe he's a boom mic operator.
Oh.
So good for you, Rob, for being versatile. I guess that's not your name, but...
Maybe it is.
No, it's not. It's Paul.
Oh, okay.
Paul.
Because this film was so boring, I wrote up a quiz for you here.
Oh.
So let's see how well you remember Snowbeast from
All right.
2011.
All right, here we go.
What is the name of the snowboarder at the beginning of the film that does not get killed?
Greg.
Dan.
You see that, Dan?
Okay.
Who first discovers the big footprint?
Emmy.
Yes.
Yes.
What is the name of the skier killed by Bigfoot that is only in one scene, the male skier?
Miss Skier, not snowboarder.
Not the snowboarder.
I can use my notes.
I don't believe we find out the snowboarders' names even.
I have random skiing couple. Okay, I'm going to say Greg.
Kenny. She screams, Kenny, when he's getting killed. What do they eat for dinner for their second meal? Or rather, what do they eat for their second meal? It's unclear whether it's dinner, a late night snack, or whatever.
It wasn't just peas, because I want to say just peas, but I know that there was some kind of a mash that the peas were in, so I'm going to say pea casserole.
I will accept that answer because I had pasta written. It looked like pasta, like shells to me, but that's frequent casserole kind of ingredient.
I'm not shocked if I put a spoon
I'll give you
in casserole.
I'll give you 10 points on that one. I'll give you half credit.
Fine.
So right now you got 20 points, 30 points. You got 30 points right now. Okay. What snack does Emmy play with as she waits, bored at the cabin for the first time?
Fruit Loops cereal.
Fruit Loops cereal. I would have accepted the name of another off-brand, colorful looped cereal.
I know there was some kind of like a Jack. There was like Jackos or something.
And finally, as our bonus question, how many times do people fall in this movie?
Oh, man. Okay, how many times do people fall in this movie? I might actually have tallied that. So I've got definitely one. I've got 10.
That is correct.
Yeah! Yeah!
So that is 70 points. Or no.
Yes!
Yeah, 70 points.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that is the theme of the episode, is people falling down.
We have had some great falls, and there are no falls perhaps from a higher altitude than one that occurs in our next and final film today.
Yeah, so what happened was the movie ended, and we were bored. And we were like, you know what helped last time?
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. We went back to Scooby-Doo.
Which isn't fair. It's not fair for the Snowbeast films to compete with the Scooby-Doo movie.
No.
I know that's not fair.
And you might be saying, like, well, there's a lot of Scooby-Doo movies. Like, what kind of Scooby-Doo movie are you talking about? I'm talking about, like, shortly post, like, Alien Invaders and Cyber Chase.
Quelle surprise! You have eaten everything? Almost. Like I'm still saving the last slice of peanut butter and pineapple pizza.
You know, we've got solid Scooby cast here that's up
the
against.
gang's all
I'd put
here.
this gang against any of the other casts that we have here today.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Scooby-Doo movie. There's nothing, like, crazy different about it. This one does start with, like, half the gang's in Paris, like, we're on vacation having fun.
Yeah, and they're waiting for Scooby and Shaggy to meet them, and for some reason they've hired this, like, world adventurer Frenchman.
No, I think that what happened was that the Alphonse Lafleur is a character, a deceitful character, has lured Shaggy and Scooby onto his plane under the guise of it being an all-you-can-eat flight.
To Paris.
But his secret plan is to kidnap them to use them as bait for the Abominable Snowman.
Correct. That is, and, I mean, good choice of people, because they're gonna, they're gonna bait it out.
Yeah.
So, he might have done his research for all
Yeah,
we know.
he's an ingenious man. I mean, that's a good plan. And then they fall out of the plane, and this is when I was like, the falling has been consistently the thing that weaves this whole tapestry of an episode together. People are falling all over the place, and I think this is a good point for us to just do a compilation of all the falls.
Yeah.
And some of our more eagle-eyed viewers might be able to find one of these clips is going to be of our editor Patrick falling down.
I'll give you a hint. It wasn't that last one, which was just in there for Sean.
Yeah. To this day, like, anytime that I'm, like, walking down the street, driving my car, and I'll just, like, it'll flash in front of my eyes, the picture of that man just, like, going down. Remember his big bag that he had? He was just, like, cautiously stepping down.
I want to point out, while we're on the subject of some of these falls, especially since many of them are skiers, Chill Out Scooby-Doo on the cover has Fred and Daphne and Velma snowboarding, and, like, Scooby-Doo looking what appear to be like snowboarding goggles, and there's next to none of that in this film.
Yeah, maybe it's true that we thought that this film was going to take place at a ski lodge and that then it would make more sense to be in the Snowbeast episode. Maybe that's true, but it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Because I was happy that we were done with the ski. We were done with that.
They said Yeti, too, didn't they?
Well, yeah, this is
And Abominable Snowman. These things count.
Yeah, we're over in the Himalayas now. So Scooby and Shaggy, they're, on the mountain, meeting characters.
We also had what appeared to be a returning character, I'm guessing from another Scooby-Doo film.
What's his name? Del
Chillman.
Del Chillman.
Shaggy? Scooby? Is that really you? It's me, Del Chillman. Wow, what are you guys doing up here?
I mean, yeah, again, it's a Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh.
It's what...
We also have the High Llama, who is kind of your average wise old monk kind of, like, little funny kind of character.
Yeah, it's James Hong, and he's doing, like, it's almost identical to the guy from The Abominable Snowman.
Oh, yeah, very similar role there.
It's like, hey, it's that guy. He's still there doing that stuff.
He also happens to be, like, a keeper or denizen of Shangri-La, and
yes,
it's been able to survive. Apparently, you can be immortal there. So
yeah, the immortal city of Shangri-La, hidden within a crevice in the Himalayan mountains, factors into the plot.
But not until much later.
Largely Shaggy and Scooby running away from the Yeti.
The rest of the gang trying to find them. Of course, lots of musical numbers as they're running away. I wouldn't say they're the best.
I particularly liked the part where Shaggy had to take over as the DJ of the Himalayan radio station.
Yeah.
That's particularly, Casey Kasem is playing Shaggy as
as Shaggy being a DJ.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun.
Like greetings, radio listeners. Shaggy and Scooby broadcasting live from the top of the world, spinning stacks of wax for all you frostbitten fans out there, right, Scoob?
This was when Shaggy had to be vegetarian, so Shaggy's eating a peanut butter and pineapple pizza on the plane at the beginning. And I was like, I would try it. I also really liked the running gag of Fred can't
pronounce Abominable Snowman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And it got infectious, so at first it was just him, and then other people kept screwing it up. And they were like, abominable.
Move. Jeepers! Giant footprints!
They must belong to the adorable snowman.
There was a really cool visual scene when Daphne goes with Pimba to search for his sister, and they go in that cave, and in the art in the background of the cave is spooky faces, kind of like in the original opening credits.
Yeah, we got lost in Scooby for a little while.
This movie does play some of the things we've gotten used to here. We've got the British professor in the Himalayas, and the wise old monk character. Those are things we've seen. We've got the hunter out to capture Bigfoot and prove he exists, and get all that notoriety.
I will say it is a Scooby movie, but at the end of the movie, you find out that it's actually not the Yeti, and it's somebody in a suit. And I was like, I know that was the case.
And I called it. I called it too. I wrote halfway down my notes, I think that this character is the monster. And I even said it to Sean. I was like, I think this character is the monster. And he was like, I don't think so.
Try Snow.
But at the very end of the movie, after that, Alphonse Lafleur shows back up. We assumed he was dead. I thought that it's the first actual character death.
He falls while he's trying to save Scooby and Shaggy from the Yeti. He gets launched and falls down a cliff, trying to hit it with a long range rocket launcher or something.
He had a big plan, and it didn't.
And the ice, the cliff he was on broke off, and he fell, and Shaggy and Scooby saw it, and Shaggy was like, he's gone.
Yeah, that was crazy.
We were just like, did he die? I was like, we don't see him again. I'm checking that as an off-screen death, but no, of course he came back.
Yeah, he was saved by the Yeti. I do want to point out that he did actually fall all that way and hit the bottom. It's just he didn't die.
Yeah, he said it hurt.
Alphonse Lafleur? The abominable snowman is real. You're alive?
Alphonse Lafleur is voiced by the guy that played Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, Renee Outergems.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's or I didn't know Alfred Molina was in this as well.
Yeah, he's the British professor guy.
I'm just looking at the voice cast.
Yeah, it's just that's so nice.
Yeah, and you got Grey Delisle Daphne, which is always a fan favorite Daphne, and you've got Mindy Con Velma, which the Velma has been the character that it seems has had the most tumultuous lifespan with the voice actors. It changes a lot more often than the others do. Fred's been the same guy the entire time, and he took over as Scooby too when the original actor died. So you've got an all-star gang here.
It's not my favorite Scooby-Doo movie for sure, but within the world of what we're talking about, which is the Bigfoot world, it's definitely a 5 Bigfoot experience. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for.
In the Bigfoot world, I'll get 5 big feet.
5 big feet, perfect rating.
Like, let's shred this mountain before it shreds us.
Scooby and Shaggy seem to get a lot of snacks in this film. At one point, they were like surrounded by boxes of snacks. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's great. It's just great to get a win, you know?
They get the all-you-can-eat. Like, the dude lied about where he was taking them, but he did not lie about all the food he was going to give them.
That's true.
And they ate it all.
Haute cuisine.
Oh, boy. Could you prefer Chill Out Scooby-Doo or That Snow Ghost? Because I like That Snow Ghost more. I like the shorter...
I think it's a more complete, it's a more composite, classic. I think the classic Scooby-Doo is always
the
kind
best.
of my favorite because it sets the stage for the rest of the stuff. And it's not that long, so it's like it's got enough variety and it's fairly short time span.
It's probably been deserted for at least 100 years.
And I'm for keeping it deserted. Let's get out of here.
All right, so we did it. So we made our way through the Snowbeasts. Here's my question. What did you learn?
I learned that we will no longer have to be covering any more Snowbeast, Abominable Snowman, Yeti.
No, we still cover the Yeti movies. You said it's the same. We can't do That Thing again. That Thing was Snowbeasts. It was movies called Snowbeast. You just got some Scooby out of it, too. But if they make a third film called either Snowbeast or Snowbeast, we won't have to cover it.
Okay, well, that's something at least. Or Snowbeasts.
That's fine, but there's a movie called The Snow Monster that we will have to cover. Oh, DoorDash.
I wondered.
Hello? Okay, I'll be right up. Welcome to the Bigfoot Breakdown,
where we talk about the various big feet from the movies we've watched today.
Yes. The Popeye's chicken did arrive mid-episode, and some of us enjoyed it quicker than others. But we are here to discuss what we have ascertained about Snowbeasts. So I think it's safe to say, in the original 1977 Snowbeast, that the Snowbeast has arms. It also can use its eyes to look around.
And it appears to view the world normally. It does have Bigfoot vision, but it's not as blurred as some of the ones that we've seen before.
The Snowbeast does seem to like to store bodies in the Fairchild barn.
Yes, he stashes bodies. It's not clear whether he eats them. I believe that they reference that maybe he's not hunting just for food anymore, but it was never clear that he was hunting for food at all.
The Snowbeast seems to have some sort of mind for hunting and counterattacking. We hear things like this thrown about the film. There does seem to be a population of big feet, if we're to believe Helen's news report. They pop up all over the country, and there's even talk of them in Washington.
It was said, however, that no definitive proof was found.
I would say that probably not one of our more intelligent examples we've run into. Kind of spears itself at the end there. Not a great response time. No evidence of its ability to ski in the film.
No, none at all. There is a lot of what we could say about this Bigfoot is simply ideas that are posed by the characters, such as that he was left over from the Ice Age.
I mean, we do get to see the Snowbeast. There's only, I believe, 2 shots in the whole movie where you get to see its face, so I had to go back and pause it.
Barely saw it, and it was so quick both times that white fur. That's all I could see.
A dirty white fur. I'd say it might have some actual camouflage value if it were to exist in the wild. When I paused the film, when I looked at the costume more closely, I did like that the face seemed to have kind of a mixture of like dog and chimp features. I thought it was an interesting costume, but you've got to wonder, why didn't it get to be in the movie a little bit more?
Why wouldn't they show it? Because you see it barely through the window, and then once when it charges.
Apparently there was another attack scene originally filmed where somebody fell off of a ski lift and broke their leg and was then murdered by the Yeti creature, and that sounds great, but the powers that be in the 70s said it was too brutal for TV, so it was replaced by the attack on the gymnasium.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
There is direct evidence to show that Bigfoot maybe doesn't like skis, which backs up my theory that Bigfoot can't ski in this film.
Well, maybe he once won a gold medal and has not been able to ski since.
That's everything I could think of for the original Snowbeast. So how does that compare to the Snowbeast?
Well, that Bigfoot also has Bigfoot vision. His is yellow tinted, bit of tunnel vision. It's probably somewhat difficult for him to see.
What I noticed about this newer generation of Snowbeasts is that their fur was a lot whiter, like almost like it had never gotten dirt on it, kind of white, like a costume white. And then the actual flesh of his face had a very like rubbery, kind of shiny texture to it. So you've got to wonder like what nature's plan was there, because you hear about polar bears hunting and they'll like cover their noses to be perfectly invisible. But then you get this Yeti that doesn't seem to have much of a... I mean, I guess it's really fast.
Really fast, strong enough to, swipe and claw somebody to death with one swipe.
There was a choke slam at one point, which indicates to me that it's like at least second level, like thinking going into like a martial prowess.
Yeah.
I don't think a choke slam is like a naturally instinctive maneuver. I think you have to see somebody else do it first, and then you decide.
It likes to do these ominous roars, from far away.
Does seem to understand the snowmobile to the point that it destroys it. I don't know if it like knows that that's their escape, or if it just grew to hate the snowmobiles over time, but definitely a distaste there.
It only destroyed the one though, which I thought was strange.
Yes, maybe he got tired.
Could be.
Maybe heard Jim from inside. Who knows? Let's see what else we got. Oh, the Snowbeast here lives in an a cavern of sheer ice underneath the snow. So we've got a layer with storage of bones and snacks for later.
Correct. At least when he was going after Barry, he kind of circled him before he went in for his strike.
It's posited in the film that the Snowbeast is responsible for the decline in the lynx population. I posit that the Snowbeast does not look fast enough to me to be able to catch a lynx.
I agree. After doing just a little bit of research about the lynx, based on the size and the speed, I find it very difficult to believe that something the size of a Yeti would be able to catch them.
This Snowbeast will eat either freshly killed food or cold lasagna he finds in the woods, so kind of a hunter-scavenger role, whatever seems to appear in front of the Snowbeast. What were your notes on Chill Out Scooby-Doo's Yeti?
Well, I think it's important to say that it wasn't a Yeti. It was a mechanized suit. We won't say who it was, but
they did use helium
to allow the Yeti to fly.
Yes, as opposed to the invisible ski method utilized by that snow ghost.
Correct. It was an interesting development there.
Yes. Although the film does posit that the abominable snowman does exist at the end, but all we see is a silhouette and a foot.
Correct.
So other than the fact that it does exist, there is no real note to be taken there.
It appears to be friendly.
Yeah, it does. It does seem to help, Alphonse Lafleur escape certain doom. So kind of a friendly Bigfoot at the end to cap things off.
Welcome to SasqWatch, where we crunch the numbers. We have 3 Yeti movies to look at today. First, we've got Snowbeast from 1977. Now, what I can tell you about this film is that there are 4 deaths, all of them off screen. There's one Bigfoot in the film. It takes place in Colorado at a ski resort, and the one Bigfoot is in the film for a total of about 20 seconds. Moving on to Snowbeast from 2011. This one's actually got 9 deaths in it, 4 of which are on screen, and 5 of which are off screen. This film takes place in the country of Canada. And the Bigfoot is in the film for about 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Lastly, we have Chill Out Scooby-Doo from 2007. There are no deaths in this film, on screen or off. This movie takes place largely in the Himalayas, at least that's where the Yeti action is. And the Yeti, well, the real one anyway, is in the movie for about 1 second. But the fake Yeti that we have for most of the movie is in the movie for about 3 minutes and 55 seconds, which means it is the majority ruler kind of between these 3 films here. On today's episode of SasqWatch, Adam ate 2 chicken pieces. On today's episode of SasqWatch, Adam ate 2 pieces of chicken on screen and 3 pieces of chicken off screen, for a total of 5 pieces of chicken.
Well, this season's been all about going all over the place and showing people this true scope of the Bigfoot film genre and all the different places it can go. So I'd like to leave the snow and steer into something that we have not covered yet, a new first for the show.
What's that going to be?
Animation.
Oh.
We are going to get into the world of animated Bigfoot films.
Well, I actually just bought one recently. I figured we could cover that one sometime soon.
What did you buy?
I bought Son of Bigfoot. I found it at a Dollar Tree for 50 cents.
Well, that is exciting, but no, we are not going to start with Son of Bigfoot. I already picked the movie. I mean, you like animated films. You just watched Scooby-Doo. You like that. Yeah. So maybe you'll like 2006's The Legend of Sasquatch.
I think it'll be that's got to be a welcome change. I mean, I love the Scooby stuff so much. Can't wait to see it.
Do you believe in the legend of Sasquatch?
Sasquatch.
And remember to please like and subscribe.
What is your favorite Scooby-Doo movie? Is it
Zombie Island?
Zombie Island? Okay. Because there's also Witch's Ghost, which is up there.
I like Witch's Ghost. But I don't like it as much as Zombie Island.
It's true. Zombie Island has my favorite song.
Yeah. Witch's Ghost has my favorite songs.